Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Architect Experience. We have with us today Gail Alibozek, a certified health restoration coach. We're going to find a little bit about what she does and how she does it. So this is going to be amazing. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so why don't we start by you telling us some of your experiences with the healthcare system?
Okay, so yes, first of all, I'm a mom. So in my postpartum period, I began feeling some really scary symptoms. And this was back in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So I immediately went to my doctor. We immediately ran some blood work, just the basic blood panel. It came back pretty normal, inconclusive, but
But
symptoms
you knew
persisted.
something was wrong, right?
Yes, I definitely knew something was wrong. I got so many red flags, and I'm the kind of a person that just will suck it up and wait it out. And so it took a lot for me to go to the doctor in the first place. So just the fact that I was there to get help said a lot for my condition and what I was experiencing. So yeah, so I went and I didn't get any answers that first time, and then proceeded to go back month after month, be given the same basic blood panel month after month, be given the same inconclusive answer month after month. And this took about 9 months before he then just decided to diagnose me with chronic fatigue syndrome and prescribe me an antidepressant to cope with my symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically how it started. I wasn't really willing to accept that as an answer. He was pretty adamant that this was postpartum depression, possibly anxiety, basically that it was all pointing to my mental health. While I was very adamant that I was having physical symptoms that I really wanted to just be addressed. I was losing body hair. I lost half of my head hair. I was experiencing neurological symptoms, numbness and tingling. I developed Raynaud's all of a sudden and really started to go downhill fast with my health. I got to the point where I couldn't dress myself. I couldn't shower. I couldn't care for myself, let alone my small children at the time. So I knew something was up.
And all
They
the
did not.
doctors were just basically telling you it was all in your head, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of moms get that. We just sort of get that blanket answer that it's anxiety or it's depression, especially when you're in that postpartum phase there. So, yeah, I had asked instead to see a specialist to at least address my neurological symptoms that were not in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And he agreed. And so I waited weeks to see that specialist. And within 3 minutes of the appointment, she made it pretty clear that she also agreed that it was all in my head, and just looked me in the eyes and said, if you love your children, you need to look at their faces and force yourself to eat. And so I knew that, no matter what, I wasn't going to be getting the help that I needed for my health. So it was a really scary situation to be in. I had depended upon the medicine, modern medicine, all of my life, and so grateful for it. And to really just be met with all of these closed doors and not get any answers was shocking. And I felt like I was being profiled as a drug seeker, even though I wasn't on any pharmaceutical prescriptions, or like I said, anorexic, so they were really adamant that this was, just in my head and something that I was seeking out, their help in the way that they're only able to provide. So, yeah, so at that point, at the 9 month point, when I realized that nothing was going to help me with them, I really had a moment of desperation. And we found the Wellness Way, which is a series of clinics that are all over the country, and they are holistically based, but the tests, the medical testing that they offer is phenomenal,
And
totally comprehensive,
what
very
not,
in depth.
what do you
So,
mean exactly by holistically based?
well, I mean, so they're not covered by your typical insurance. Insurance basically only covers are Western medicine. So
Mhm.
they're considered holistic, being that they are not affiliated with the insurance companies, and also that they use herbs, tinctures, and natural remedies for healing. So because I don't take insurance, this was like a financial impossibility for us because I wasn't working. At this time, my husband had to cut back to half time because he had to take care of me and our children, you know, as much as he could, because I was struggling so much just to get out of bed and to dress myself was really difficult. So he was a big support system for me physically and really had to cut back on his pay. And so we weren't in a position to afford to pay out of pocket for out of insurance. But at this point, we didn't really have a choice. We weren't getting answers. We needed the answers. So I immediately went to the nearest clinic, the Wellness Way, and they gave me an x-ray. And within 20 minutes from that single x-ray, they were able to see the abscess that was in my gut that was about the size of a baseball. So
Wow.
yeah, it was a pretty bad and scary diagnosis, actually, to go from being mental health diagnosed, chronic fatigue possibly, to having sepsis
And the
is
doctors missed that completely.
totally missed it. And I feel like had they have just given me an x-ray, they would have found it. Of course, that being said, they would have booked me for surgery immediately and had it surgically removed, and I would be in a colostomy bag. So I think there's a reason why I was led down this path of healing and restoration. It was very painful. It was a big eye opener and total disappointment, to say the least. But yeah, best money we ever spent was on that x-ray. And then we were able to get some really comprehensive gut testing for me to pinpoint the bacterial strains and then be able to actually eliminate them using natural remedies. So I had a whole like turnaround. My health improved drastically within a matter of 3 months. I went from being anovulatory, meaning I couldn't menstruate. I wasn't ovulating as a normal woman in her body would. So I went from that to pregnant after just 30 days after being healed from that infection. So it was an incredible turnaround. And I was just so floored at how powerful these herbs were and how powerful these tests were and what the two could do together in terms of correcting health, for sure.
And they offered you classes afterwards.
Yeah, super random thing. I don't know if they do this to all their patients, but I happen to be blogging my experience. I'm a writer. I like to do blogging and visual vlogs and stuff like that, just to kind of, I wanted to be open about my experience because it was so jarring. It was so shocking to me. And I thought I was dying. So I literally was half blogging to save the world and half blogging to just leave behind a legacy if I was going to die. So in all that, I really had a kind of a successful blog, and my doctor knew it and followed it. And he suggested to me, hey, you know, we're going to open this academy. It's brand spanking new. Would you be willing? Would you be interested in joining? And I just, without a doubt, said yes right away without even thinking about it. And I was 5 months postpartum with my twins at the time and did the whole intensive academy training. And it was very intensive and very in-depth, but it was an eye-opener and just an amazing experience for sure.
And so now, do you work with them now,
I
being
did
a health restoration coach?
Yeah, I did a year in clinic with them after I graduated. It wasn't really like a residency or anything. It just, I happened to get hired. And so I did end up doing in clinic for a year. But in all honesty, like I was chomping at the bit. It just wasn't happening fast enough. I felt like I could do more. So then I decided to branch out on my own and just denounce the practitioner role that I had acquired and just go with the coach. I'm okay with being demoted to coach.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. The work you do is pretty amazing, and I think it's really important. It reminds me of I just started learning about this guy, Dr. Sabi, who really stresses the idea holistic health. He takes a more holistic approach in the body's natural defenses. And are you familiar with Dr. Sebi?
I'm not familiar with him. I wrote it down. I'm going to check him out after this for sure, because I'm always interested. Holistic, yeah, people understand that as being woo-woo. And I mean, that's at least what I kind of thought it was just growing up in this country. Western medicine does a really good job with promoting themselves and demoting the other guy, basically. But
Yeah, oh yeah.
yeah, so
You should check
holistic, at
out
least.
Dr. Sebi's documentary. Check that out because they basically he died in 2016, but they basically silenced him. Like they didn't want him putting out any of his medical like any of his medical things that he was
Sound.
finding out. Yeah, they didn't want
Yeah,
him putting it out. They basically shut him up real quick. So
I am totally checking this
unfortunate.
guy out.
Yeah.
That's awesome. He sounds like me. Yeah. So basically, what holistic means, it means that all of our body systems function together. So you've heard the phrase, a house divided can't stand, right?
Absolutely.
So in our Western medicine, we have specialists, and this is great because I mean, all of these systems are very in depth, but when you separate them, you fail to see how they interconnect and they play along with one another. So the way that I was taught by Dr. Patrick Flynn, who is the founder of the Wellness Way, he calls it the Swiss watch principle. So just like the gears of a watch, all of our body systems are working together. If one of those gears is off, it's going to affect all of the other body systems, just like dominoes, you know? So holistic really just means the body as a whole. It doesn't really mean, you know, the other guy like I thought it did.
Wow, that's interesting. Do you think that Western medicine and the healthcare system as a whole is failing us in this country?
Absolutely, without a doubt. And I don't want to say that it's maliciously or on purpose, but I just, given what I know, there's some red flags for sure that they're specifically missing certain aspects of our health that are deterring us from being healthy. And whether we like to admit it or not, it's a business. It's a money-making, customer-promoting business. And they are very much in line with our food and drug industry.
Yeah,
So,
it's both intertwined. Yeah, the FDA focuses both on food and drugs, right?
absolutely. And so when you consider the pesticides and the herbicides, the preservatives, all the synthetic ingredients, the dyes, stuff that they don't allow in Europe that we're eating over here, and how that's playing a part of our health and our failing health as a collective country, yeah, you really start to wonder, like, who is in charge here exactly? And why are they doing this? And then you realize, oh, okay, they're promoting patients just because that's the whole method to the business that they have. So
you said in one of your posts that you think people became more aware of the healthcare system and the faults of the healthcare system after COVID. Why do you think that is?
I mean, it was just such an eye opener. And it's so shocking because, like I said, what I went through happened in 2018. COVID was just on the heels of that, 2020. So just a couple of years later, I witnessed with my own eyes people saying the same things, thinking the same thoughts, coming up to the same conclusions that I had painfully been made aware of in terms of not getting proper care, in terms of feeling misdiagnosed rather, so yeah, it just was a lot of like repeat. I felt like just in terms of all of that, and just the fact that we had a epidemic similar to the flu that happened 100 years prior, and yet really no improvement had been made. Like, we should be able to handle viruses by now. We should be able to handle simple things like this, and they have certain things that they like to use to protect us from those. But in reality, can we safely say at this point that they are? It leaves questions unanswered at this point. So I feel like a lot of people just started to see the gaps and just started to wonder, like, what's going on exactly here.
especially in the most advanced country in the world, you would think that we would be a lot further along in medicine, and it makes you think that because the money is in there's no money in the cure, right? I mean,
Right, exactly. If we were all healthy and healthy and happy and cured, then no, they wouldn't have any business. So, you
yeah,
know, it's definitely a money-making thing for sure. You know, but that being said, I don't know if they necessarily need to go through such lengths because sickness and injury and illness happens all on their own. You know, they don't really need to be adding to that.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
here we are.
I kind of want to shift the focus just a little bit,
Yeah.
we may come back to the medical side of things, but I really want to know, what do you eat? I need to know this.
Yes. Okay. So I am gluten free. I'm also yeast free, which is a very difficult one in particular. They use that as a preservative a lot. I basically stick to organic produce and my lean proteins. I'm not a vegetarian. I'm not vegan or anything. I eat organ meats. I eat healthy fats, coconut oil, avocado oil. I eat bone broth. So I really go for that nutrient density and try to avoid what I consider now poor people food, like what they used in the Middle Ages to fill up the poor people, bread and potatoes and all the white carbohydrates that basically are sugar once they hit your bloodstream. I avoid those and go for the nutrient dense. That's how I eat.
I eat out of the box straight into the microwave.
Yeah, that's about
It's
right for
probably
everybody.
cringeworthy to you, but yeah, so I pretty much just eat anything out of a box, microwavable, maybe pop a couple things in the oven here and there. But so you would recommend against that?
I'm not being overdramatic when I say that I would rather sit naked on a hot grill than wear something off the rack.
I'm
That's
assuming.
how I was raised. I mean, I was raised Kraft mac and cheese, Pop Tarts. I ate Hot Pockets every day. I mean, I was raised that way for sure. Hamburger Helper. I mean, all of it. It was so good. But yeah, no, in reality, my body does not agree with that at all. And so if I want to perpetuate my illness and my autoimmune issues, then sure, I'll eat like that. But I am happier and healthier and stronger eating otherwise and having shifted to more nutrient dense whole foods based diet. Yeah.
So do you think that some of these foods that are like, fresh off the shelf, like that you get at the average grocery store, or do you think these foods are tied into like a lot of the health problems that happen?
Yeah, without a doubt, for sure. I mean, we are organic beings, so we should not be consuming anything synthetic. It's not going to break down in our bodies. It's going to produce disease in our bodies. So the fact that they're putting in all these dyes and synthetic preservatives is concerning, to say the least. Yeah, it's a whole chemical thing that they're doing with these boxed foods.
I'm stuck between the pages. I know time is valuable, but shit, I'd rather waste it. Hypnotizing rabbit holes, but Wonderland is vacant. Stress about the future till I'm late, yeah. Till I gotta turn the table, throwing ifs into my statements.
And it's complex. It really is so many ingredients. If you flip one of those boxes over and read the ingredients, like, you would be shocked at all of the chemical words that you'll see. If you can't pronounce it, if you don't know what it is, don't eat it. That's kind of basically the lesson that I have learned. I know what celery is. I know what carrots are. I just assume chop those up, put them in a pan with some delicious chicken or whatever, and have my food. I do like spicy. I'm a spicy food lover. So that's something that I'm able to eat now. I was never able to eat spicy food beforehand because it would cause me too much pain and discomfort with my condition. But I have since improved my condition and built myself up. So now I can enjoy all the herbs and spices that I could ever imagine. And so, again, I feel so much healthier and happier going whole foods based. But it is a little bit more work. It is a little less convenient. So
Yeah.
it is a challenge, but worth it. I feel like it's so worth it.
Are there any like herbs or foods that you know of that boost the immune system?
Oh yeah, for sure, without a doubt. Mushrooms, but not like the magical mushrooms or anything like that. But like, so button mushrooms are pretty high in zinc, which is necessary for immune function. But chaga, reishi, lion's mane all have polyphenols that are very important for our digestive system, which makes up 80% of our immune system. So if our gut is good and healthy, that is a big barrier that we are providing for ourselves against pathogens, virus, bacteria, toxins, all that. So yeah, I consume medicinal mushrooms pretty regularly. If you heard of mud water, that's like the popular thing nowadays. People are switching from coffee to mud water. That's a whole other topic in and of itself, but that's basically mushroom based. And so that they're a pretty good boost for the immune system. I'm not a big fan of the texture, so I typically get the powders. And I also have taken them in encapsulated form. But yeah, just focusing on your gut as a whole is a huge immune booster in of itself.
That's good to know. That's good to know. I'm gonna make a note of that. I definitely want to start eating more healthy. It's something that's been on my mind lately. So here, your healing process, you took all of this into account, the type of medication that you were getting, as opposed to synthetic medication. You took a more holistic approach. You changed your diet, your eating, and everything. You felt a lot better. Did a complete turnaround, right?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So one of the things that the Western medicine, they will check for IgE, food allergies, peanuts, shellfish. Like that's why you can't bring peanuts to daycare centers anymore, because a lot of kids have that anaphylactic IgE inflammation response. But what they're not telling us about is that we also have chronic long-term IgG inflammatory response. So that's an immune thing as well. And avoiding my IgG inflammatory food allergies, which I had 17. So that was quite a lot of food allergies or sensitivities that my body just was creating a lot of inflammation. And then again, it would wear out my immune system. I avoided those, and that was a game changer. And it's like if most doctors were more serious about our overall health, they would be testing our IgGs as well. And I tell you, I have yet to test a single adult that doesn't have an IgG food allergy.
Wow. I most likely have one or two.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. My daughter has 14, she's 5. My son has 7 and he's 7. So yeah, it happens just through DNA, genetics, our environmental factors, how our immune system is responding, our IgAs in our gut and all that. So the digestion does play a big role in the development of those antibodies. But yeah, in eliminating those, that was a massive game changer and really like let up on the inflammation that my body was constantly being bombarded with.
So we know how you got to like the physical aspect of healing. And what about the mental aspect? Because that had to take a toll on your mental health, right? Just going through that and feeling like the healthcare system failed you. You didn't have anywhere else to turn to. Like, I know that was exhausting mentally. What did you do to kind of pick yourself back up?
Yeah, honestly, it's been 4 years. I'm still trying to pick myself back up from that heartbreak because it was such a blow. It really was. Our healthcare is such a comfort, a subconscious comfort that we have to pull that rug out from underneath you with no safety net, with nothing else, just kind of left me feeling like, okay, well, what else is there? If the doctors can't help me, I'm going to die because I have nobody. Nobody's going to help me. I didn't know that I actually had the Wellness Way on my side and that they were well aware of everything and already had it all figured out. But so they saved me. Thank God for that. But yeah, it was a big mind issue that I dealt with and still am dealing with the heartbreak of it. It was a big disappointment and I was never expecting that. It was really shocking for sure.
I would imagine you're definitely a warrior of light, and I appreciate you for being so open and honest about your story because it can help a lot of people through. So what did you, I'm sure you dealt with a lot of depression and a lot of anxiety. What did you do to kind of combat that?
Well, that's a good question. I kind of took to TikTok and began expressing myself artistically on that platform,
I did the
which then
same.
really led to a lot of healing for me. I felt heard. Other people could relate, so I didn't feel alone anymore, because I felt alone. I thought that I was crazy and that I was imagining this, and that it was just all in my head. But no, this was the reality of our collective healthcare issue that we're dealing with. So TikTok was a weird, like, unexpected healing thing for me in a weird way. But yeah, I journal a lot, so I was able to kind of process my thoughts, and I have a deep connection with God or source. So, that of course was a guiding light. I felt like he made me for this. He opened my eyes to this for a reason. So it wasn't just all for nothing, and I didn't die, so here I am now on the other side of it, actually able to share my story, which is so cool and such an honor. And yeah, just so excited to be at this point here. So I am getting a lot of healing emotionally from all of this. But yeah, I went through a really dark depression and dealt with some anxiety. And one thing that I learned, interestingly enough, is that anxiety and depression are physical symptoms. We experience them as mental, but our body and our mind are interconnected. And so when I started to heal my gut, my depression started to get better. Even throughout all of that, I overall felt happy. I learned about the neurological pathways that we have when we make our brain chemicals. We can do serotonin. So L-tryptophan will convert to serotonin, or to another pathway. My mind is totally drawing a blank right now, and I'm usually good at kynurenine.
Okay.
So serotonin or kynurenine. So kynurenine is what it makes when we have the flu, when we're ill. It keeps us in bed. It keeps us unmotivated. It keeps us lethargic so that the body will heal itself. So I learned that when you don't have serotonin, when the L-tryptophan isn't converting to serotonin, it's going to convert to kynurenine, which is essentially depression. So to me, it was a signal that my body being unwell was that kynurenine pathway, that chemical pathway was happening prominently. And once my body started to heal and let up off of that, the serotonin, sure enough, came flooding back. And so I received a lot of healing mentally through my physical healing. And that's what kind of showed me that the body and the mind are interconnected. They're not separate, like we've kind of been led to believe.
I think that the past few years has been taking a toll on just us as a country on a national level. It's been just an exhausting, time, such an exhausting time in the world, really. So many people probably will be looking to you for support. What services do you offer, and where could people find you?
Yeah, so they can find me at my website, evolveforhealth.com. Actually, I'm going to be running a glow up workshop here. It's free. So if anyone's interested in learning even more about this, they're welcome to join. This Thursday night's going to be my first one. And that will basically cover everything and how I healed using mental, emotional, and physical techniques that then really just turned my whole health around. But basically, what I do is I focus on the foundational health of a person. So regardless of where you are at in your physicality, in your health journey, I work on the immune system, the digestive system, and the nervous system. Those are the three primary systems of our holistic body. So once the bedrock, the foundation of those is strong, then flourishing can happen, then glow up can happen, then thriving can happen. And so you can literally be somebody with health issues, but in taking care of these foundational aspects of your body and shifting your focus to healing those, your health takes a 360. You end up being so much healthier, stronger, happier overall for it. So I really focus on foundational health. And I also focus on the mental, emotional aspect of it too, because like they say, healing isn't linear. You know, it's actually more like a spiral upwards. In my experience, I would go through, you know, this physical healing, and then that would make room for the unresolved trauma of my past to come up. And then I would heal that. And then I would have to heal my physical body a little bit more. And then it would bring up more trauma to be healed. But essentially my nervous system was building up and strengthening itself to the point that it would be able to handle these unresolved trauma that needed to be healed, that were causing my body illness underlying as well. So yeah, it's an interesting spiral kind of a dance that the body and the mind do. But in focusing on both of those aspects together, that's why we call ourselves integrative health, then you really start to see a huge difference.
That's a really, really cool way to look at it. It's like spiraling, but elevation, with elevation, that's pretty cool.
Yes.
I'm probably gonna be looking to you for some advice.
Please, yes, I'm here for you. Absolutely, anytime.
You are welcome. I'm gonna wrap this interview up.
Awesome.
So I'm gonna put you in the waiting room and do my outro. But this has been an amazing interview. I appreciate you for coming on. Thank you for shining light on what I think is a very major problem that not many people even consider a problem, but
it needs to be addressed.
It does.
We got to start taking control of our own health, of our own life, and we're sovereign beings. You know, we owe it to ourselves to get this human right back. You know, to be in control of our health, to be in control of our happiness. That's what we deserve. And so, if we're not getting that, we can get it. We can get it ourselves. You know, just a little guidance, and it happens.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I hope that this becomes the norm, because it really is a much healthier approach, I feel like, and more reliable as well. So thank you for spreading the message and being at the forefront of this cause. Seriously.
Yes. Anytime. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
All right. Well, that was certified health restoration coach Gail Alibozek. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. If you did like it and you want to see more videos like it and see me doing more interviews, make sure you hit that subscribe button. As always, I want you guys to love each other, be kind to each other, spread positivity. It's a cold world. Let's try to warm it up with love. I love you guys.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions have an echo in so much space.